What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. The countdown is almost over. The March update is almost here. It's crazy to think when I woke up this morning, I was thinking the update was coming end of the month, and here we are getting ready to start a new era of UFL. I went ahead and did a preparation stream, if you will, and we ended off the prior gameplay era with a bang. Undefeated tonight on stream. The boys had a nice little showing. The ones who want to stay with the team, they did well. Some will move to the bench, some will be kicked off completely, but some will stay in the starting lineup and grind their way up to meta players. Now, with that being said, this is the tactics, the formation that I'm bringing in to this March update. It is a 4-1-2-1-2 wide. I talked about this on stream. It was interrupted rudely, may I add. So I wanted to give you a chance, especially those who aren't going to go and watch that live, a chance to see what I'm cooking with for this very first tactics video of the post-March update era. Now, first off, let's talk about the why. We're going with the 4-1-2-1-2 wide. First off, because I need one CDM, not two CDMs like in previous gameplay. One CDM because a big part of scoring right now, and it's going to continue in the post-patch update, is that players come down the wing and then serve it into their striker for a quick one touch, then shoot a snapshot, whether they have the snapshot skill set or not. If they do, it's even higher chance to score. But even if they don't, taking that one touch puts them out of the way of the defender and they have a good line on goal, or they just take a one-time shot. The other prominent way to score is driving the end line, which that is what it is. You can try to snuff that out with your back four. However, you only need one CDM in that area to try to block off that pass into either striker. When there's one striker, one CDM is fine. When there's two, it might be some work, and that's why defensively I have a 4-3-3 defensive with two CDMs if I ever need to switch to that. For attacking, by the way, I went 3-4-3, all-out attack, just only using that if I need a goal. Right? For the most part, it will be this 4-1-2-1-2 wide. You can do whatever you want defensively and attack, but for me, that's how I do it. But for the most part, I will be going with one CDM in the 4-1-2-1-2 wide, and that CDM's number one goal is to mark out that pass into the striker or strikers. Outside of that, I love this formation because not only do you have the two strikers next to each other, which I typically wouldn't like, right? The only reason I like it in this setup is because there is a cam there. So when the ball's out wide and you need to play into, let's say one of your attackers and they have a CDM covering that pass, just like I'm going to do on the other end with my CDM, you're not, stuck without a passing option. You now have a cam. In this case, I have Chiesa that you can play it into, and then he can play it into the strikers, one of the two, or all the way out wide. So that cam there just brings options, because usually if you don't have a cam there, you have it out on one side, one wing or the other, and they're blocking off one striker. That other striker's next to the one striker and just out of the play completely. So really, once you block off that one, the only way you're going to get it to the other striker is swing it all the way around, maybe through your CDM. And by then, the opposite CDM, the opposition CDM, can just swing around and mark that other striker too. Having a cam there allows you to play into his feet from whichever wing the ball's on. And then you have options from there to swing out wide, right? Maybe there's an overlapping wing back, an overlapping winger, or one of the two strikers you can play into and set up your own snapshot or your own one-time shot, which are the most powerful ways to score right now. So that is the why on the 4-1-2-1-2. Let's get into the tactics. First off, stamina will be updated. The drainage of the stamina will no longer be as bad as it is. They showed an example, and you will absolutely be able to play not just on balance with the defensive style anymore. For me, I'm going straight to press after possession loss. You can do press on heavy touch, or you can stay with balance. Obviously, you don't want to go constant pressure because your players will be running all over, out of shape, right? You only would want to go constant pressure if you're in need of a goal at the end of a game, if you're down and you need a goal. However, I'm going pressure after possession loss because I want to immediately put the opponent on the back foot. I want to immediately make them rush their decisions. I don't want to give them time on the ball, and more often than not, that will lead to them either passing or dribbling right into you, and you can win the ball right back. Now, as far as depth of defense, we are going with a balanced 4. That is the lowest you can go while still being balanced. The reason why we want to do this is because now your defenders will be more spread out. There will be holes that you need to fill. And just in case if you have to recover from a attacker getting through those holes, you'll have the space to do that. So you don't want to go extra high right now. Start off with that balance, 4 bars, and you'll be good to go. Remember, starting with this post patch, you're going to have to manually switch to your defenders, each one, fill in the passing gaps that are open, fill in the dribbling gaps that are open. Think about that. If you didn't start practicing it beforehand, make sure you are mentally prepared to do that. Otherwise, you will get burned. And I wanted to add that, remember, the depth and the width will also be fixed together with the spacing will now be larger between your midfielders and your defenders. So no longer will there be that ability to stack midfielders and defenders in the box, right? So that will get rid of the rats. But also if you got used to having that compact defense with the midfield helping, you're going to have to get used to not having that anymore. With that being said, on width of defense, you want it at 1 bar all the way narrow. Simply speaking, with the new width, spread out defenders, you want to close those gaps down as much as possible to make it easier for you to manually fill in those gaps when you're trying to prevent an opponent from getting through on goal. And now that the width of the defense is fixed and the defenders are more naturally spread out, you can play narrow without having it turn into a rat tactic where you're just packing your defenders next to each other and deep to create a wall in front of the goal. Moving on to attacking style, you want fast attack. Simply put, you want your players to start making attacking runs as soon as you win the ball, and then you can look for passing options. You can manually change the runs from there, but fast attack will ensure that they start making dangerous runs immediately. Now, for players in the box, I go with 5. This is more personal preference. I still haven't totally figured out what I want to do with corners. I know that kind of glitchy flick-on corner is still there, but it's not as prevalent to score. Players will still try to force it all the time, but most likely I'll just go short until I figure something out. So for me, for now, I'm going back to what I know, which is 5 on players in the box. And last but not least, for width of attack, we are going with 3 bars, which is narrow. The reason why we want this is because yes, your wingbacks will be sucked in, but so will your wing mids. And along with their player duties, which we're going to talk about soon, your wingbacks will be on the outside. So if they do move up, they'll overlap. Then your wingers, wing mids, I should say, will actually be working closer to the seams. And then that leaves your 2 strikers and your cam sort of overloading the center backs on the other team. Moving on to player roles. For your goalkeeper, balanced and passive always. You still do not touch your goalkeeper, and the same with your center backs. Do not cross the halfway line, holding position, and situational. For goalkeeper and center backs, always leave them be. Now for your wing backs, on both left back and right back, you want attacking width close to the sideline, attack support the attack, defensive style, holding position, and pass interception situational. Now, because the positioning of the wingbacks has been fixed for a while now, you will be fine with support the attack, especially after this update where you won't have to worry about an opponent sitting all the way back and then trying to counterattack you. You will be just fine with your wingbacks helping out in the attack. Sometimes they'll drive all the way up, sometimes they'll just be there for a supporting pass, but you will have a lot better success in the attack, a lot better success keeping the ball with your wingbacks pushing up as an option as opposed to staying back and not crossing the halfway line. Now moving on to your lone CDM in this 4-1-2-1-2 wide, you go attack support, don't cross the halfway line. Crosses into the box, hold your position. Defensive style, hold your position. And pass interceptions is situational. The number one job of this CDM defensively is to block out any passes getting into the striker or strikers for the other team. And then on the attack, sometimes they won't be involved at all. Sometimes they'll be that first line of the attack where they are spraying balls out to the wingers or the cam, maybe sometimes directly to the striker. But the most important role is defensively blocking out those passes into the striker or strikers. For both wing midfielders, your left mid and your right mid, you want attacking style as attacking runs. Attacking width is close to the middle because, like I said, you want them working in those seams between the center backs and the wing backs. For crosses into the box, yes, make yourself available. And then on defensive support, you actually want balance. You don't want the wing mids sitting too far up, but you don't want them dropping all the way back. You want them balanced. Sometimes they'll come back and help, but they'll also be ready to take off on their attacking runs based on your fast attack playstyle. And last but not least, pass interceptions, situational as usual. As for your cam, attacking styles, attacking runs, crosses into the box, make yourself available. For defensive support, you actually want balance, just like the wing midfielders, and pass interceptions is situational. The only one that's kind of sticking out as different would be the balanced defensive support, and that's only for the same reason as the midfielders. Sometimes you want that cam coming back just a little to receive the ball, or maybe just help out a little defensively, but because of the other settings, because of the fast attack playstyle, that cam will still be ready to get up and support the strikers. And then last but not least, for both strikers, you want attacking style, attacking runs. Defensive support is stay up front, and pass interceptions is situational. Like I said earlier, if the cam wasn't there, you would want one of these two strikers coming back to the ball to receive the ball to feet, and the other one spreading out the defense, stretching them out, making long runs. Since the cam's there, you can actually have both strikers stretching out the defense, making those runs, looking to get in behind, looking to score goals, create chances, and then the cam will be able to come back, receive the ball to feet, and then help get that ball into the strikers or maybe even score himself. That is why this setup is so dynamic, because you double up the strikers you have. Typically speaking, if I was playing two strikers, I would have them stacked like a 4-4-1-1, because when they're next to each other, I find that many times in the UFL in particular, the way the game plays, one striker is sort of out of the play or not really doing much. When they're stacked, they're much more useful. Because there's a cam, you have double the danger up front. So there you have it. That's exactly how I will be rolling into this March update era of UFL. It has been a long time coming, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. As long as the game plays, how it reads on the notes they provided, we are about to have a blast playing UFL again. No longer will these rats be able to run amok and get victories they don't deserve. And for all of you who use this 4-1-2-1-2 wide setup with the tactics I provided, you can thank me later, because you are about to dominate. So keep grinding, keep having fun, and I will see you on the flip side of this update. Peace.